Hey guys, all right, so we're all live and this is Beyond the Farthest Star. If you didn't want to join Beyond the Farthest Star, then you're in the wrong place. But if you are looking for the Q&A with Andrew Librizzi, you are here. This is the right place. And in a moment, Andy's going to come out and he's going to answer your questions, so that's pretty cool. And also, I just want to give you a quick update of what's going on. Of course, Beyond the Farthest Star, many of you guys know, it was released right before Christmas. It's in Walmart superstores. It's in online everywhere. I mean, it's like Best Buy, Walmart.com, Amazon.com. It's kind of everywhere. But also, the cool thing is that we also went HD digital, like last week. So now we are available digitally, iTunes, Amazon, and like a whole bunch of other places. In fact, what we've done is we have gone ahead and put all those places on our website at beyondthefartheststar.com. So you guys can find that there when you go to our website. So, but yeah, we're selling out at Walmart stores. We're doing some amazing things out there. You guys, it is incredible. And I just want to give you guys the update and let you know what's going on. Andy Librizzi is here. He's in the house. He's going to answer your questions today. And we've got a lot of questions. Thank you guys for sending them in. And if you've got any other questions as we're talking through, make sure you send those in the comments and we'll try to answer those. So let me just shout out to a few people. Van, she's on board. Candy Rose, hey Candy, good to see you. Chad Gutterson has joined. Hey man, how's it going? Hey Chad. Dan is on board. Joe, Rick Bernstein, hey man, how's it going? Let's see, we've got a few others. Let me scroll through. Rebecca Marie is here. Becca Rose is online, and she's also here in the house.
You online?
She is our audience. So she is here to cheer us on and keep us in line maybe too. But Alessandra is on. Alessandra is from overseas, so thank you for joining. I know it's a lot later.
Oh, I'm on.
You're on too?
That's my Italian mother from New Jersey, and my wife, and maybe my son.
Very good.
Get away from his games.
That's your son's birthday today, isn't it?
He's a teenager.
Gosh, I can't believe you have a 13-year-old.
And a 35-year-old. I'm a grandfather twice. Thank you very much.
So I want to get right into this thing, you guys. Michelle, thanks for joining too. I want to start with these questions. We have a load of questions, and I want to give Andy enough time to answer them. So let's get going. Okay, the first one comes from Kathleen, Andy. It seemed to take a long time getting this film to the finish line. I love the film. What was your biggest challenge in getting the film finished? Well, we could both answer that one. An independent film, they say on average it takes an independent film 5 years to get out there in the marketplace. We don't have umpteen $1 million like a Marvel Spider-Man does. I mean, they could actually do all the special effects and shoot it and get it out in a year. For us, independent films take a little bit longer because we work on favors. We have a very limited budget, and we're trying to get the best quality out possible because it's our calling card, right?
Well, and also we went through contract negotiations with several companies that
did.
At no fault of ours, did not work out. The companies that we were in contract negotiations with.
Several companies that we went through, and the market was changing rapidly.
And still is.
The way that things are released as far as like movies are released, and so it was a big deal in getting the right company that would be a good partner for us, and we feel like after going through probably 3 or 4 major contracts.
Oh, and that always takes about 7 months to negotiate.
Yeah, the negotiation actually took a while too. But we have the best deal with Sony Inspired Family Entertainment. So we feel like we definitely got blessed and we were able to get the best deal.
So I want to say to Joe, because he's talking about the licensing, make sure you contact the Cindy at info@ so we can work something out to get the movie to your church.
Yeah, Joe sent an email to info@ Pathlight Entertainment, and we'll respond back to you. That way you can find out exactly how to have a screening night there for you.
Hey, Tommy.
Tommy Kendrick's on board. Yeah. Hey, Tommy. Rick. Kim Helm Bose is on board as well. Hey, Kim. All right, so let me get to the next question. All right, this is from Michelle. How did you do so well in finding the right cast?
Well, that was a lot of the local work that you and I did, casting here locally, and I think that the people that we brought in from LA, Renee was one of them. That was just a God thing.
Yeah, we had a casting director, Karen Armstrong, who introduced us to LA talent like Renee O'Connor, Andrew Prine, who played the senator. Also Sean Rowe, who played Kyle in the film. Right. And then Lou Beatty Jr., who played Joe Harrison in the film. Yeah. I mean, we had incredible talent from LA, and we also had an amazing cast of talented actors from the Texas area. So, I mean, those people that I just asked were the only people that from out of the state.
And with Jeremy, we kind of found in the last round.
Yes.
Kind of not finding who we need. We actually tried to cast that out of LA. And we couldn't find him.
Right, yeah, we did.
Jeremy here.
We did. So incredible. There's a great, that's the thing about Texas. There's a great talent base here. So it helps tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lori Ann says, what was your inspiration to write this beautiful movie?
Well, I mean, literally in my hometown, Spring Lake, somebody actually did burn down a nativity.
Oh, wow.
And we actually did get the ACLU involved, and I just kind of took it one step. Okay, so what happens if at the end, the one-dimensional nativity, the wooden nativity, actually becomes three-dimensional, people's lives changing and transforming? And that was kind of the seed of the idea.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, when can we expect the film in Brazil? That's from Sandra. So, Sandra, we are working on that. We actually have been in talks with a distributor. Now, what happens is that the film, now that we've released it in the States and in Canada, what happens now is the distributor takes it to foreign countries, and there's other distributors there in those countries. They've got to accept it. They've got to buy it to bring it in. So we actually are contacting the distributors in Brazil, in the UK, in Australia, in South Africa, South America, in several different countries. And we've got some interest there. So as soon as we know where it's going to be and what country it's going to be in, we'll let you guys know. So that's the answer to that.
It's coming.
It is coming. And we're hoping it's going to be this year. So keep your fingers crossed, keep praying, and, hopefully it'll be in your country very, very soon. Okay, so I noticed that there is a nativity display at the beginning of the film, but the family are part of a living nativity at the end. Why did you decide to do this? This is from Donna.
Well, it's kind of what we were just talking about. It's just that, and even if in your expression of your faith, it can be one-dimensional.
Right.
And so, I mean, here you had this couple that were the pastors of the church, but there was something missing. There was a deficit there that was eventually able to be healed when honesty came to the family. And so, that's cool. Not only with the family, but always with the town as well. So the whole thing was a rebirth, if you would.
So that's one of the things that I liked. I was trying to tell people that this is really cool about the film that you kind of inserted in there as a writer. So the wooden nativity actually is representative of the family in the film. Adam, Maureen, and Sherry are Anne. And by the end of the film, they are the living nativity. So you had mentioned before, I think to me, that the actual nativity made of wood has to become ash before the family is part of the living nativity and are restored.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's good, but it's true. You really do have to come to the end of yourself before you can fully embrace, God, and before you can be set free, before things can be healed. So coming to the end of yourself is not a bad thing. It's really the starting place to healing. As it is in the story, it was a starting place for the human family.
Very cool, very cool. I love that. I love that connection there. It's amazing to me. And I don't know if you guys caught that, that connection between the wooden nativity and the living nativity at the end of the film. That's pretty cool. And we're going to try really hard not to give too much away. Some of you guys I know haven't seen the film. Others have, so we want to make sure we're not giving away everything here. So it's fresh and new and wonderful when you guys see it. Okay, so this is from Bill. The character of Calvin shows up in the town, but what I don't understand is why he is using the family.
So he was some of his dialogue kind of had to get cut in order for timing and so forth. But he is talking on the phone in the motel, and he is kind of parlaying the information he gives to the senator so the senator can blackmail the pastor in order to get favorable treatment before a congressional conference.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so that's why he's using the family.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why he's using his knowledge.
Right. Right.
But I think ultimately there is a disconnect there because of, well, I can't get this secret out. I was going to tell you about this thing, but I can't get the secret out.
Yeah, you can't get the secret away.
Whoever, I guess you said that, but that was good to remind me because I probably would have just kept rambling.
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away, but that's good. That's a good answer. Okay, this was from Reese. I love the attorney Harrison. He mentions a scripture when he hands the file to Adam that is difficult to understand. Why do you make him such a compassionate character different from the other characters?
Well, when I was writing that character I could never really come to terms with whether or not it was an angelic character or whether or not it was a real character. But what I liked about his character is, and this is another point of the plot, but Adam, when he was not even really connected with God, was preaching the gospel, and God had used Adam to bring the Harrison character to salvation. So I just liked how he was able to come back into Adam's life and preach the very gospel to him that Adam was preaching as a young boy.
That's cool. Okay. Adam is interesting. I did not like him at first, but I could understand him by the end. How did you do that?
Well, I think that was one of the questions that was really kind of cool because that was really kind of what I wanted to happen because we as people sometimes are not sympathetic people.
Right.
And maybe we're not even sympathetic to ourselves. I mean, sometimes we do things that are ugly. And sometimes we see things in ourselves that are ugly. But, God still loves us. And God is still reaching out. And God is still trying to make something beautiful out of our lives. He never abandons us. We're never ugly to him in that sense. And so, so many characters in movies today are presented in this sympathetic light. And so you always feel sympathy for them. So even when redemption comes, there's kind of a lacking there. But when redemption comes to an unsympathetic character, I think it's more powerful. I think it's more profound.
I think it's kind of cool how you wrote Adam because he's just a real person who has a lot of issues, and you find out as the story unfolds, what are those issues in his past that kind of create who he is today. And you start finding like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. And I think that's really interesting how his character keeps evolving and unraveling until he's at wit's end, and you kind of see what he has to do and where he has to go.
And when he sees in his own life his father and the way his father was raising him, and the effect that he's starting to have on Anne is when he starts to become alarmed by his own situation.
Yes, that's cool. All right, we have a question from Tommy. Tommy says, this has been a long journey. Were you ever concerned that the film would not get distribution?
Yes.
We kind of went through that a little bit earlier.
I will say this, that, I always felt confident that the movie was good. I felt good.
Yeah.
I'm still very proud of the movie, and I just felt like God would make room for it.
Yes.
I just always feel like the Bible says that your gift will make room for you, and I just always felt like the Lord would make it, that the word of this movie would get out there.
Yeah,
because this movie is a bridge, not only for Christians, people that might be going to church, but people who don't go to church.
Right.
It is a bridge to relationship to God.
It's universal. I've said this before. We're all broken at some point in our lives, and we need, healing, and we need restoration. And so you see that in these characters. So yeah, that's really cool. Okay, let's see. Was the boy preacher based on a real person? This is from Debbie.
Well, it wasn't actually. I was just saying, I mean, I could have been a baseball father. The guy could have been making a kid learn how to play baseball, making a kid learn how to play golf, and just being abusive as a father. But later, I did find out that there is somebody that had that very situation where he was preaching. It was in California. He was preaching at a very young age, and his mother. It was the mother that was the dominant force there, and she would literally, when he wouldn't do what was right, when he wouldn't preach right, she would put his head under a pillow, because she didn't want any marks shown on him. Poor boy, and I felt like, how much distortion can you get about who God really is as a result of that, and who the gospel is? Because, the devil lies about who God is. The devil is always saying that he's austere, that he is demanding, and yet at the whole time, the Bible says that he says, "Come and let us reason together." That his word is gentleness, and he draws us with his loving kindness.
Yeah.
So there was somebody like that.
And I think there's several, but I remember that one because you did a lot of research on that particular kid that was was this famous preacher.
I'm trying to think of his name right now.
But
it's on online.
It's on YouTube.
Find it on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. But I think it's interesting how you wove that into the storyline, and that Adam actually was doing whatever he was doing, preaching out of duty more than
obligation.
That obligation
and condemnation,
trying to please his father, instead of something more genuine. Yeah. But okay, cool. All right, so this is from Jean. What causes Anne to be suicidal? Does she sense something is off in her family?
I think so. I think that it's something that she lost. She kind of describes it toward the end of the movie. Is she lost her faith, and her faith was kind of it was born out of her relationship initially with her father, and then eventually she lost that relationship. And so I think it's a combination of that, and then the secret that this family holds. I think that, her intuitive knowledge of that secret really kind of puts her into despair.
Kids are very sensitive and they sense things. I think parents sometimes don't realize they sense. And so I think that's what I got out of it.
And how they read our actions. And they're always reading our actions as parents. They're always determining what our actions mean for them. And they're always, and the devil always twists it and makes it say, well, it's your fault, this is happening. It's your fault, this is happening, because that's what he does.
If there's a divorce or if there's a separation, a lot of times kids feel like it's their fault that their parents are divorcing or the parents are not talking or arguing or whatever that is. So I think she probably
internalized everything.
And then, teen depression is a huge deal today. Huge. Okay, there's a lot going on in the film, but somehow it all comes together at the end. Why did you decide to write a story like this? That's from Lodell.
Well, I saw that question. I think there's multiple characters, so there's multiple storylines, and I think the typical story structure is you have a hero, and then you have all these people that are supporting either his demise or his success, and so we wind up with a culture where everybody thinks they're the center of the universe, but that's not really the way life is. Everybody is meaningful to God, and we're all supporting everyone else's story. And so I chose that structure, and you work through it, and eventually you hope it works out at the end.
Cool. I think it's kind of cool how it all comes together. I mean, you have to pay attention at the very beginning because all the subplots and all the characters, you see each individual character because you develop those characters so well. But then they all converge at the end, and I love that type of storytelling because you start to see, that's why that character said this or that, or that's why the character felt that, and it all kind of comes together.
A lot of times we hear, people watching for the second or third time, I got this and I got it. And a lot of times they think all these things are unrelated, but in the story they are related, and they're interconnected with each other, and I think people like going back and finding those connection points in the movie.
That's really cool, and I think you don't see, at first you kind of get the story, and you see the second time, like, oh, wow, I didn't realize they said that, or it connects, but and we've had people see it 4 or 5 times, and every time they see it, there's something different they get out of it, so that's really cool. You see all the likes there because the people have seen it. They know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see. Why does Stephen have such an attraction to Anne? She's never really nice to him. And why does Kyle feel so threatened by her? That's from Chris.
Well, I think Kyle, again, it's a father issue that Kyle has a huge deficit with his father. His father's abusive.
Yeah.
And I think that Stephen, in a sense, is the only family we had. And he felt like Anne was a threat to that.
He was like she was stealing him away.
Yeah, exactly.
The only positive male figure in his life, the only friend he felt like he had, he was almost like a brother to him.
And that was the only way he knew how to react. He had no other way to react than the way he does in the story.
Right.
Which, in the end is kind of sort of tragic.
Yeah, it is. It's very tragic. So, but why does Stephen have such an attraction to Anne?
Well, what does the saying go? You always love what you can't have, or whatever. Well,
you're attracted to what you can't.
She's
have.
completely different than everything else he's seen.
She's certainly is.
Maybe he has an intuitive understanding of who she is, but who says why we're attracted, right, to the opposite sex? I mean, what?
Well, I think it's really cool that in the book it goes even deeper with that, because he is. What I like about it. Here's what I like about the story is that here's a film that you can watch with a teen. A parent can watch with a teen, and it opens up the conversation, because a lot of times teens don't want to talk about what they feel, or they may have a friend at school they're not sharing about, and they're struggling with depression or whatever. But what we have found, and we've had several parents tell us what's been so cool about the film, and some teens as well, that they watch the film together and they start opening up a conversation about teen depression, about things they're going through, and I think that's kind of cool.
Well, and also, what's good about it is that it gives the opportunity for the parent to gain understanding into the child's life, but it also gives the opportunity for the child or the teenager to get understanding of the parent's life.
Yeah.
The parent is not, perfect, and they don't have everything together.
That's true.
And we've had a lot of feedback from even some of the distributors that we've talked to that have had teenagers that have seen this movie. Yeah. And we had one in particular that called and said, my wife and I were in tears watching this movie, and we have gone through with our daughter, young son.
Yeah.
So, it's a really good movie for fathers to watch with daughters.
Yep.
And fathers to watch with their teenage sons, especially if they're having some trouble.
And also mothers. Because every single person is almost described here in the film. It's a look at all of us. So it's very interesting. But I just think it's kind of a cool thing that teens and parents can watch together. So this is from Babbling Bards. Was Maureen's maiden name originally supposed to be O'Connor, or was that an Easter egg that was snuck in after Renee was cast?
That's funny. I just kind of hit me when I read that question. But no, that was written before I even met Renee O'Connor. So maybe that was a God thing.
I remember that.
A God thing.
Yeah, her maiden name in the film is Maureen Ann O'Connor. Yeah. Right? Is that Maureen Ann O'Connor?
And then when we had the movie calls for the script said that when they went to the new church at the beginning of the movie, there was 6 people.
Yeah.
And then when the church that we shot in literally had an attendance number of 6. It was a church that was going out of business. So obviously they were having pretty bad times at the end of it all.
It was a really small church.
And it had congregation number of 6.
Yeah,
we got into the church. We need to shoot here.
It's pretty wild. There's several little things, that I think are memorable things about the shooting and it all coming together, and confirmations that we received as we were shooting the film. All right, so this is from, I don't know who this is from. Why did Adam walk away from the ministry, or did he? They're still living in the church parsonage and heavily involved in the living nativities. So did he actually just quit trying to be heavily involved or controlling in an aspect of the church and delegates, freeing him to spend more time with family and community? Right. That makes sense?
That's a good question. And we had a lot of people say, you need to show him back in the ministry and all of this other stuff. And I like it the way it is, because it doesn't say that he abandoned the ministry. The movie says that what's most important It's his relationship with his wife and his relationship with his daughter.
Right.
Because a lot of times people put ministry or their job. It doesn't have to be ministry, but or their job before their wife, before their children,
before their family.
And I think that was. I mean, even the way the movie is structured, because you have the nativity burn, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, well, this is going to be one of those God's Not Dead type movies where you're going against all of society and all the government and all this other stuff. And it is a movie about, the restoration of the country, but the movie then turns and says the restoration of the country is the husband to the wife, and the wife to the husband, and the father to their children.
Yeah, the whole family unit, how important the family is.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what's interesting to me is that, you kind of left that open at the end of the film. You don't really know what he's doing. He accepted a position at Big Mart, but you don't know, and he sacrificed a lot to get his life back together again. And I think that's cool. He sacrificed for the family, and that is just true to the theme of the story. That it's about the family and the restoration of the family. So I've got several questions from two people who turned in a lot of questions. I got one question that was just added. Julie Rodriguez asked, the most memorable part of this journey, shooting or distributing, what's the most memorable part? Well, I'll tell you, the most memorable part to me was always, when we did the screenings, was always watching the last 20 minutes of the movie with the audience. Because it's just, I've seen it a million times, and it's just the last 20 minutes of the movie. It's just like, I don't know, it's just, to me, I describe it as just, a blanket of God's love coming over the audience. And because, they go through, from the beginning, they just go through some reality of places that people live in, And yes.
Most people do live lives of quiet desperation. Yeah. They have those things hidden in their hearts, and those things are all exposed in the first part of the movie. And then toward the end, God comes with redemption. And, no matter what a person's situation is, God can always come with redemption. Yeah. And it's sure. And I think that is what has been the biggest blessing of that movie. It's true. I agree with you. I think that the best part was sitting in the theater and feeling the audience and watching them and seeing them on the edge of their seat. And then at the end, there's such a presence. As an actor, when you do stage work, you actually feel the audience. And it's something that every actor should experience, because it's something that you feel what they're going through. You sense, that they're locked in to the moment. And you could tell in the theater with them that they're locked into that moment, and it's an amazing experience, especially the last few moments. And what was so, because even the first time we started screening it, there would just be the silence. Yeah. At the end, and then then applause would start, but there would just be silence. It's that same thing that happened. I experienced it when I watched Schindler's List. People did not move a muscle. Usually you hear the popcorn and you hear the people slurping on their their Coke or whatever. No, it was silence in the theater, and then you could tell people were just locked in, and they were completely into the moment, the last moments of the movie. Well, because it goes from this story in this very small town to eternity. Yeah, it literally goes from this small town story out into eternity. We had a limitation to our visual effect budget, but it worked out good. The guy who did the visual effect at the end did a great job, and you have that sense of traveling through the universe as the movie ends. It's the most inspirational moment I think I've seen in any film. I'm not saying it just because, I produced the film. It really, literally is so powerful. Okay, so these are from, I got another one from Tommy. Hold on a second. Tommy said, is this a story you sat on for some period of time before writing the screenplay, or did it come quickly? Well, it didn't come quickly, but, life was going on while I was writing it, so I would write. I'd be able to write for 2 or 3 months, and then another project would come up to pay the bills. I had to stop everything, and I had to pick it up again. And, we did some rewriting with it, and so it took a while to write, but the scene of the story continued to evolve. So it had different forms early on, and then it eventually just really focused on fatherhood and family. So
yeah, and I think that that's what makes it so interesting and so well layered. It's because you took time to let it breathe and let it form and come together. Okay, this is from Kim Blakay. She says, I love watching this movie. Every time I watch it, I find another wonderful nugget to take away. What was the hardest thing about getting this film from conception to distribution, and why?
Well, the first thing is writing the script, and the second thing is raising the money.
Yeah.
The shooting part happens pretty quickly, and you have challenges, but those are over like within 2 or 3 hours. The editing process, because I was not necessarily a film editor, I was kind of on a learning curve a little bit there. I thought I knew more about editing than I did, so I was on a little bit of a learning curve there. And then just the opportunities we had moving into distribution and the challenges that we faced. Right. In doing that, which were no fault really of the movie at all, but we just had challenges, and eventually we got it into distribution, and now it's everywhere because
it's everywhere. Yeah,
because of Sony. So it's been great.
Okay, what did you learn most about yourself from making the film? The team around you that helped you accomplish this?
Well, I think reaffirmed. I've always felt like. I've been able to, kind of hang in there and press forward against strong headwinds. So I think it kind of reaffirmed that in my life. I've had many challenges like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that is it. That's the main thing. And you just kind of get deeper and deeper into that. You just go further and further into, your strengths, further and further in what, the gifts that God has blessed you with. I think that in the process, I learned a lot more even now about writing and in initiating a script and what I need and what I don't need. So, that was, really helpful.
Yeah, I know. And for me, producing, learned so much about the market, about getting it out there. Yeah, exactly. So, what would you say to someone who would like to do this for a living and paying the bills?
Hoo-ha. That's what I would say. Hoo-ha.
In the words of the immortal Al Pacino.
Yeah, that's right. I think that if you have a real call and you have a real vision for it, it'll continue to press you forward and enable you to withstand disappointment and difficulties along the way.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not for the faint of heart. Filmmaking isn't. It's always rewarding. It's always rewarding, right? But there's a new movie out, The Disaster Artist, and this guy takes this film and he literally has money, and so he writes a film and gets it out there, and it becomes a cult hit. But it's not what he thinks it is. And that's the only film he made, I think. But. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. It's difficult. What is a memorable testimony from someone who watched the film that really touched you?
Well, I'll tell you honestly. There's two things. One is the amazing reviews that we've gotten.
Yeah.
On Facebook, and
that's true.
Those are so encouraging to us because a lot of times when they just totally get it, and they get the ministry side of the movie, they get the redemption side of the movie, they get the nuances of the movie. Yeah. Those are real blessings because that why you were motivated to do it.
That's from you guys.
It's being translated to our Facebook fans and everything.
Yeah, all you guys. Yeah,
we read those reviews, and if you've seen the movie and you've been debating on whether or not to sit down for a couple minutes and write something, please do, because they're a blessing to us. And not only that, they're a blessing to other people. They encourage other people to go see the movie.
People really, they understand your thoughts, and it's important that that's conveyed to them, not just us saying it, but everybody else. Yeah.
Well, I think it was another testimony where we had a friend of ours, and he had seen the movie, and he had a beautiful family, and he had lost it through drug addiction. And he was trying to come back.
Yeah.
And the scene where Adam is burning his news clippings of when he was a child.
All right.
Really ministered to him about burying his past, forgetting his past, and moving forward. And he had seen the movie, and then 2 weeks later, he was still in tears about that scene. And so those are the kinds of things where I know that God is ministering to somebody.
Right.
God has touched somebody through the movie. And we've had so many of those kinds.
Yeah, we had a marriage that was
that's right. Yeah,
that was falling apart, and I think this lady came to see it at one of the screenings, and
they were talking about getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
She saw the movie and the unconditional love of God portrayed in the movie. And her husband were completely at odds, not talking to each other, not even being able to be in the same room with each other. And they were together after she had seen the movie, and he had provoked her, and the love of God was just upon her, toward him.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, he saw a change in her, and then they went and saw the movie again, and God restored their marriage.
They restored them. Yeah, I think that's incredible. And I mean, there's a ton of stories, you guys. There was a young girls' home actually too, and these girls were on the street and they were sex trafficked, and they just they were very broken and in a dark place, and they brought the group were brought in to see the film, and we got a letter from one of the counselors, and they said the film, like nothing else, touched them so deeply, and they can't stop talking about it. So again, an open conversation for them to be healed from a lot of the brokenness and physical abuse that they had experienced, in their childhood, even in their teen years. So that was really powerful.
People have real issues.
Yeah.
They have real problems. They have real pain, and they want to see movies that identify with where they are, so that the redemption rings true to them, instead of a glossed over version of what life is really like.
Yes. All right, this is from Dan. The story is great, but I was curious how the cast gelled during the making of the film. Was it all comfortable? That's from Dan.
Really the cast was. I mean, Renee and Todd and Jeremy, from the first day they went out. They had coffee together, and they really bonded, as a family, for the purposes of acting through the movie. So the cast was great. They did a great job. Even enjoyable.
Also the guys, Sean, who played Kyle, Tyler, who played Steven, and Jordan, who played Clifford. Yeah. They gelled together, and I think we roomed them together too. Yeah. So that was kind of on purpose, so that they could. Yeah. Not only for
everybody gets a trailer.
Not only for budget purposes, but it was really cool. They did gel, and it was important for the story, for the filming, and we had a great time. And I know there have been friendships that were formed through the making of the film that have still gone on. So it was kind of cool. That's what's really great about making a film. You get so close, you work so closely together. So yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip to Sherry because Sherry has a bunch of questions, and I'm going to kind of skip through these as much as possible, but try to get as many questions as I can. Did y'all purposely play with the setting in terms of place and time period, both when writing and then later producing? Setting just seemed to be like another intricately woven thread throughout the movie story, teasing a bit with setting and time and timeless elements, flat screen computer monitors, dial-up modem, cell phones, but relatively few, definitely after the Columbine and Virginia Tech, old-style lawn chairs.
Yeah. No, I would say that the modem. The modem was more a product of, I just felt like, they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So I just felt like them connecting to the internet through that sound, and especially how that sound is used actually in that one bridge in the story.
Yes.
I felt like that was kind of nice. We were originally going to shoot in Venus, Texas.
Right.
Because it had that celestial name to it.
Yeah.
But they were so close to the highway that it was just so noisy. I knew we wouldn't be able to keep any of the audio. And then Leonard just opened the doors to us. And all of our locations were almost all within walking distance. So it really worked out. And that church we talked about earlier, they were literally going out of business. So we were able to.
I think there's a timeless classic element about the story. So the locations lend to that as well. But we do know in smaller areas, the internet's not very strong, and so there may still be dial-up in certain smaller towns. But I think that you're right. I mean, it does work too as that sound that kind of.
Well, it does, and it makes her. I mean, in an odd way, it comforts her at that one moment in the story.
Right. Okay. So.
And then the house, the Wells house, that was just an amazing location. Now, that was another one of those God things, because 2 days before we were shooting, we did not have a house, and probably a week and a half of our 21-day shoot was going to be in that house.
Wow.
That house, literally, they called us and said, "Why don't you come shoot at our house?" We took a look at it and said, "Oh, this is perfect."
It's great.
It was just a God thing.
Wow. Yeah. So Sherry asked, why valedictorian? I totally get the broken Marine as a stay-at-home mom, pastor's wife, volunteering, doing all the best she can, but she was a valedictorian?
Well, I was just trying to kind of relate her brokenness. So she was here, and she's really down here, where she's a valedictorian. Now she can't even write her own speech when she's talking to the women at the church.
Mm.
So I was just trying to kind of get her sense of disappointment in life, kind of articulated a little bit more.
Right. That's good. So we got Alvin. Hey, man, how's it going? Good to see you. And Lori Ann, will there be a sequel? Is there going to be a sequel?
No. If you guys keep getting the word out about it, it sells a lot of DVDs. There might be.
Yeah, that's true.
We've had a lot of people say, you need to do a sequel.
A lot of people have asked us about that. They want to see more of these characters, which is really cool. Stardust joined also. Hey, Stardust.
Hey.
Okay, genetics. Let's see. No, wait. Resistance is futile, funny. In the old movie theater scene when Stephen and Anne are talking about electricity, did anyone ever say anything about the line that you think you and I have all this ohm between us? I know, I get it. No one ever laughed about ohm resistance between them, or was that just a private joke? Or we nerdy viewers?
All the above. But I will say that, that's a great question that you're looking at it that closely, but I will say that theater, because that was originally written to be in a drive-in theater, and because they were originally supposed to have the horse there, and they were supposed to be riding the horse, and the last shot was the stars through the tethered screen. And I said, when we were going into Leonard, I said, well, we couldn't use a drive-in theater because it was going to be too far, and there's none of them. You can't even find them anymore. Yeah. And then we couldn't use the horse because of the animal rights thing and all of that business. So wouldn't it be great if there was like a theater that we could go to in a town and it was just burned out? And sure enough, one of the storefronts
in Leonard
literally was a theater.
Yeah, it was.
It had no roof on it or nothing. So it was just like, wow.
So it totally works.
It's just like a copy.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's just kind of one of the secrets behind the filmmaking that no one would have known, but it really works for the whole story. But I mean, his father was an electrician, right? And so there was that.
So they were talking about
the electricity between the two characters. But he talked about other chemistry.
Yeah.
But it was for him. It was the electricity. Okay. Let's see. Symbolic humor. Did anyone ever comment on the whole Chuckles gargoyle thing? Could just be my warped brain perceiving this, or could you have done this intentionally? I'm just curious if anyone had asked about it. There's an awful lot of humor and symbolism in this short bit of dialogue.
That's great that she's picking up on all those things because, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, right.
That she would name a gargoyle Chuckles.
Yeah.
It just kind of speaks to her mind. But,
then she says, well, Adam won't let me bring demons home.
Yeah.
But it's this guy, this stranger that gives her a demon. Yeah. What does that say about the stranger?
Yeah. Because she's goth.
Yeah. So it's cool. All right, so we're coming to the end. If you guys have any other questions, let us know because we're trying to wrap it up here. Let's see. What's the scoop on referencing Inger Laurie? Were you a fan? Know someone who is a fan? I mean, the Inger Laurie and the motel shootout illusion and Beyond the Farthest Star couldn't be just a coincidence, right? What's the story?
Well, I'm not a fan, but it's interesting that they dig that deeply into it. Inger Laurie is kind of like a musical, mythical character. She was just a very let's just say, flamboyant character. If you read some stories about her, and she was really.
When was she around? 80s?
I think so. Yeah.
80s.
Yeah, and she was, she had a real rebellious spirit. But I mean, they really thought that she was going to be. We talk about this sexual harassment stuff that's going around now. I mean, she had some instances in her rise.
So wow! Wow!
And but yeah, I mean, she's a real person, and she was just kind of like a rebel's rebel, right? So
right.
And identified with her.
Yeah, and it also says Sherry's saying, yeah, totally y'all's fault. I had a gazillion questions. Stories that the stories were just that good. So
that's right.
Makes you think. Yeah, that's great, Sherry. Thanks for these.
Because when you're right, you're trying to make every line count.
Yeah, sure.
To make every line meaningful. When people dig into it that deeply, it's kind of a blessing.
Yeah. So she asked, were there reasons Adam kept calling Anne's music vampire music? Is this a reference to the ashes? Blood is like acid. Maybe an inside joke, a joke alluding to sparkly vampires.
Well, I think like with parents, when somebody starts dressing goth, they'll like round them off to the nearest cliche. So she's dressing goth, well, you're a vampire.
Yeah, right.
So I don't think he particularly would have, reached too deeply into it, but she looked like a vampire, so she was calling her a vampire.
That's great. That's great. Well, I've got one more from, from Sherry, and let's see. Dan wishes that Sherry and me were here. She's with us in spirit, Dan. She is. Bodie, yeah. Bodie asked. Hey. Bodie's the writer for the Beyond the Farthest Star of the Beyond the Farthest Star novel. She's saying, "What's next?"
Well, I'm working with a talented actor and producer here locally, and we're doing a movie. It's kind of like a country rodeo western. Not a western. It's
contemporary.
Yeah, and I can't give away the
rodeo film.
Yeah, it's kind of a road movie, kind of a rodeo movie.
Yeah. And
March, April, and then I adapted The Boxer's Garden, which is a romantic comedy, and we've got an Academy Award nominated actor attached to it.
Cool.
And but it's about a psychiatrist who goes to the much married capital of the world, LA, to get R&D funding for a happily ever after film. And he doesn't realize it, but it's to save his own marriage. So there's a couple things coming up.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, we'll keep you guys informed of the new stuff that's coming out. Okay, this last question, unless you guys have something else before we wrap it, is in reference to the title, Beyond the Farthest Star, Anne's Point, and The Horse Midnight, among others. Were you, Andrew, a fan of alien movies? A fan of Poe? A fan of Byron? She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless chimes and starry skies.
I've seen the alien movies. I would say I was an adult when I saw them, and I was still like sick to my stomach 2-3 days after I watched them. So I know they're out there, and I just kind of thought that was a nice visual to attach to at the time of the story. But no, I don't know a lot about it.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of connections, and I'm sure you guys, hopefully this kind of expanded your horizons as far as the film goes. If you haven't seen the film, make sure you do see it. That's Beyond the Farthest Star, and you'll see how incredible the writing is and the direction from Andy Librizzi when you see the film. And then Bodie is on board here too. We just want to tell you also about the Beyond the Farthest Star novel. So the novel is written from the screenplay. Bodie and Brock Taney wrote it. And also on the DVD, there's an interview with Brock on there that's very insightful. I love his interview.
Yeah.
So you'll get that with the DVD. But here's the thing about the novel. I've said this before, is that last time I talked to the publisher, they told me there's only 1,500 copies left in their warehouse. And so Amazon just raised the price of the novel because they're going fast. And so if you haven't got the novel, if you've seen the film, you want to watch the novel, it goes a little bit deeper than the film does, make sure you buy the novel. There's also, it's available in audiobook, ebook, Kindle, and all the above. So in fact, Bodie does an excellent job reading the novel and the audio version, so it's really cool. So
love the book, Bodie. Wonderful writing.
Yeah. And many of you guys, like Lori, have read the book and have enjoyed it. It's a great companion piece, so I encourage you guys to get the book if you haven't yet. Make sure you read the book. A lot of people find out that when they see the film, they love the characters so much, and they want to know more. And so what's cool is the book goes deeper into some of the characters. Stephen is expanded in the novel, and there's more of a backstory at the beginning of the novel, the first chapter. So it's very cool. I encourage you guys to definitely get a hold of the novel if you can. But listen, thank you guys so much. Get the word out about the film if you've seen it. Let people know about it. It's very important that you guys are our biggest megaphones. We need to get the message out there. Tell people how you've been impacted by the film and how it's touched you. Tell them your own personal story and let them know, hey, you need to get this film. If the film does well in DVDs and we're selling out, that's great. But we want Sony to replicate, make more DVDs, get them out there. And now that it's going on cable, it's also going on a lot of the iTunes. You can download it, the digital version, iTunes, Amazon, and a whole bunch of others. Go to our site, beyondthefartheststar.com, and find out more.
And I think if they've seen the movie and they feel like they know somebody that this story and the spirit of the story would really touch, use it as a trap.
Oh, yeah.
Buy it and hand it to that person.
Yeah, it's true.
And then have a conversation with them after they've seen it.
It's true. And, we didn't know at the time, but when Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light, saw the rough concept of the film, he was in a dark place. And it really inspired him, and he was able to reconnect with his daughters and his family before he passed. And that's what the film did for him. And I've always said that if the film inspired a painting, a novel, and a song by Crystal Lewis, how is it going to inspire you? How can it inspire someone else in your life that you know is going through darkness or dark time? How can it really touch them and affect them in a good way or open up a conversation? That's the important thing. We know that film has the ability and stories have the ability to do that. So we encourage you guys to do that, and please get the word out on all the sites. The reviews, like Andy said, are very, very important, and people look at that. And go to imdb.com. Make sure you rate the film. Give us a high rating. I said before we had some overseas trolls that gave us low ratings.
Who obviously didn't see the movie.
They didn't see the movie because we're not released yet overseas, and so it brought our rating down on IMDb. A lot of people look at that in the industry, so it really helps us. If you guys,
it's still, even though it brought it down, it's still high.
It is high. Cool. Well, the U.S. I think the average U.S. vote is like a 9 out of 10, but the overseas vote's like a 4.7, so it brought down our numbers. And
it's not yet overseas.
Yeah, it's not overseas, so it's like a 7.3, and it really should be higher. So if you guys could get out there, especially if you are overseas and you haven't seen the movie yet, but you like the trailer, go online to IMDb and give us a high rating. It will help us tremendously. So thank you guys so much. It's been an hour, so we're going to call it quits. But thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys. And keep in touch with us on Facebook, on the Beyond the Farthest Star Facebook page, and find out more at beyondthefartheststar.com. Thanks again.